Seamheads, welcome to the Giants Fanfest warm-up show.
Upper deck, a monstrous three-run homer off the bat of Rafi Devers.
Here's your host, Bill Laskey.
Welcome in, Giants fans, as baseball season has begun, as San Francisco Giants Fanfest started last week in San Jose. Today, San Ramon, California gets to welcome in a lot of players and, of course, the new manager, Tony Vitello. And that's all starting at 12 o'clock, but I get to warm you up, Giants fans, as we talk 2026 baseball season, and it's starting February 10th, matter of fact. Pitchers and catchers all line in, and they get going, and then February 15th, the full squad gets going, and Tony Vitello gets to talk to his full team for the very first time. Exciting times here for the orange and black. My name is Bill Laskey. I'll be hosting the show. Got a great show set up for you for the next 2 hours to get you ready to come out to San Ramon. City Center Bishop Ranch, 6,000 Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon. Free admission, free parking. Get out there and support the San Francisco Giants as they make their second stop for the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest. First time in San Ramon, and boy, oh boy, what a great opportunity to get out on such a beautiful day here in Northern California, where most of United States are getting frozen with ice and snow. Boy, oh boy, you take a look at the map, some severe weather in the Midwest and in the South and in the East, and here in California, we are experiencing 65-degree weather, sunshine, and baseball is back. Boy, it's been a fun off season. We're building out now to go to spring training. The San Francisco Giants have added some pieces, and of course, last year, a team that finished 81-81 now look ahead for the 2026 season. The Fan Fest is going on right now in San Ramon, opening doors at 12 o'clock. A lot of autographs, photo ops. There's going to be a Q&A stage where two of my good buddies from KNBR will be hosting that. Derek Papa, who works with Adam Copeland on Dirty Work. He was on from 2 to 6. And my good friend Greg Silver, who works with Greg Papa from 10 to 2. Both of them will be on stage doing a little Q&A with some of the players. We'll talk about the players and who's out there today. Also, a lot of San Francisco Giant ticket offers will be offered. A mystery signed baseball for Junior Giants baseball, and I think that's one of the biggest things we always love to support here on KNBR, Junior Giants, and trying to get more and more kids involved. Of course, the glove drive every year is such a sensational motivator for us as adults to bring back two kids for getting them gloves and getting them on the field. And Sue Peterson and the Junior Giants do a great job for that. Also a trading card wall, which is pretty cool. Also face painting for kids. Love that. And, you know, you start looking at around and more Giants fans will be coming out. Get the Giants gear out, get the hats on, get the sweatshirts on, the hoodies, the T-shirts, as we are welcoming the 2026 baseball season right here on KNBR. My name's Bill Laskey once again. Let's take a look at what's happening here in San Ramon and some of the players and manager that's going to be out there. Tony Vitello, the new manager who was in San Jose last week, where the first stop of FanFest was, and had a good group of players out there. Ryan Walker, Tristan Beck, Christian Koss, and Casey Schmidt had a great start for the first FanFest. Today we'll be in San Ramon. Next weekend we'll be in Sacramento, and they'll finish up in the beginning of February. It will be January 31st in Sacramento, and then it'll finish March 14th at Oracle Park. So Tony Vitello will be out there today, and the ace Logan Webb will also be present. Jung-Hoo Lee coming in from Korea, he will be out there. First time he's going to do a Fan Fest. And, of course, Landon Roop, one pitcher that got hurt last year, did a great job in the starting rotation. Eric Miller, who was injured last year, looking back for a bounce-back year. Of course, he went to Stanford University. Hayden Birdsong also will make an appearance. So some great pitchers out there, along with Jung-Hoo Lee. Get to take a picture with him, sign some autographs. A good group of San Francisco Giant players to get you excited for the 2026 season. As I said, pitchers and catchers, February 10th, full squad, February 15th. The first game already, February 21st. That's going to be the first spring training game. The Giants will go to Seattle. They'll be going to Peoria to play on the Mariners, and that first pitch will be 12:10 right here. And I'll be doing extra inning post-game shows again this year. I'll be following that up through the spring training as well as during the season. And then the Giants will come back the very next day and play in Scottsdale Stadium on February 22nd versus the Chicago Cubs. So those games will start spring training. I'm sure a lot of Northern California fans will be going down to Scottsdale, a beautiful area, and taking on Scottsdale Stadium. And once spring training ends, boy, the Giants get that first game of Major League Baseball where they entertain the New York Yankees on March 25th, 5:05, first pitch at Oracle Park, the first and only game of Major League Baseball in 2026, the New York Yankees versus the San Francisco Giants, opening night at Oracle Park. All exciting dates, all exciting times coming up here as we entertain the 2026 San Francisco Giants baseball season. But today, it's Fanfest. It's the second stop in San Ramon, California. Get out to City Center Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road. Get out and support the San Francisco Giants today on such a great and beautiful day. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back with more. We'll talk about all these players I just talked about, some of the things they did great last year and what to expect of going into this year. So I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Giants warm-up show, getting you ready for the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest, opening at 12 noon today at City Center Bishop Ranch in San Ramon. We'll take a quick break, come back with more.
KNBR, the sports leader.
He walked his last time. Here it is, a high fastball driven into deep left field. Way back there. Adios! Pelota! Another fastball over the plate. And Devers launched this one out of here to the opposite field. His second home run of the night.
Back to the Giants Fan Fest warm-up show with Bill Laskey on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back. If John Miller's voice calling a Devers home run doesn't fire you up, man, that got me goosebumps right there to get ready for a 2026 baseball season. Boy, those calls right there, you just remember it. You just remember the call. And, of course, John Miller making it so realistic over the radio. And one of the best, the Hall of Famer himself. Well, today we're getting you ready to get out and go to San Ramon. What a great location at City Center at Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road. Come out and talk to the Giants. The Giants are out there. And, of course, my two buddies from KNBR, Greg Silver and Derek Papa, will be out there talking to these players, getting some Q&As, finding out what they did in the offseason, and talking to Giants fans and what your optimism is going forth in the 2026 season. Everybody's got to be super psyched. I am, of course. It's baseball season back on the airwaves with KNBR, and also Extra Inning Post-Game Show will be back on Saturdays and Sundays following all the games. So I'm excited to do my seventh season with that. Well, let's get on. 415-808-KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Got a couple calls here. Let's go out to Mountain View and talk to Michael. Michael, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Great, Bill. I love your show, but I can't root for the Giants because they don't make any significant acquisitions. And we say wait and see, and it's the same thing year after year. And since Bruce Bochy, we haven't had a real playoff run. And I want to see something dramatic happen other than to say wait and see, wait and see, wait and see, wait and see.
Well, I think, Michael, it's not just the San Francisco Giants. You got to look at all 30 teams in Major League Baseball. Some teams spend a lot of money. Other teams are putting their team together. And I think Buster Posey is one that has tried. There's no problem there, no question there. Just some deals just are not favorable for him, as well as going after some of the free agents that a lot of these top teams from the Dodgers and the Mets and the Cubs and other top teams have went out and purchased some of the free agents. And I understand when you say wait and see, wait and see. There's a lot of talent on this team when you look at the 40-man roster. I think what they did make their rotation better by getting Tyler Mahle, a 9-year veteran, Adrian Hauser, another 9-year veteran. Both of these arms are going to play significant value in this rotation when you look at Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Landon Roop, and a couple other guys that could be competing for this 5-man rotation. I look at the pitching. I think that was one thing that Buster looked at and had to get some significant names to try to fill in some of these holes. So, I understand wait and see, but it all starts on February 10th, and I think we have still some time here to give them a little rope to see if there's anything else they can build on. A lot of names are still being out there from free agency and also some trades being out there, Michael. So let's see if they can do something from now till February 10th, and there's always time through spring training to motivate more players to come over and see if there's some holes. What do you think about that, Michael?
And the last question I will say to you is that I will take this off the air. I would like them to see to get to some young players, not just acquire 30-year-olds and get it cheap, and something nice and young so they can keep him or her for a long period of time. I'll take it off there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I think longevity with younger players, and you start looking at who's out in San Ramon today. Logan Webb, 29 years old, the ace of the staff, had a great year last year. Jung-Hoo Lee's 27. Landon Roop's 27. Hayden Birdsong, 24. Eric Miller, 27. Some guys that are really young and in their prime, and I think that's what we have to look at moving forward with some of these players and pitchers going through a first full year last year on some of them and seeing if they can rebound. And I think, Michael, you got a good point there. I think longevity by getting younger arms and younger players will definitely help this roster. My name's Bill Laskey. This is the Giants warm-up show for the Giants' second spot of Fanfest in 2026. It's happening in San Ramon today, opening the doors at 12 o'clock. Admission is free. Parking is free. Of course, capacity on limits there. But at the same time, get out and talk to these guys. And I really want to open up the doors to Tony Vitello. He was out in San Jose last year. The 47-year-old's jumping right from the college ranks right into Major League Baseball. First time that has ever happened. The guy's a baseball lifer. He's not married. He said, I'm married to baseball, and you got to love that. It's a big jump for him, no question. College baseball to Major League Baseball is a big jump. He understands it. But when you look at what he did in Tennessee, 341 wins, 131 losses, that's got a 722% winning. Just think about that. 341, 131. He's got a winning attitude, no question. That was over 8 seasons in Tennessee. In the conference, he was 125 and 85. When you start looking at the accomplishments that Tennessee did, 5 NCAA regionals, 4 super regionals, 3 World Series appearances. That's pretty cool. And, of course, 1 national championship, and that was in 2024 when they beat Texas A&M. You start looking at videos of him, very exciting, very jubilant, a manager that really takes care of his players. Sure, it is going to be a big jump to go to the big leagues, and definitely it's going to be a big jump in communicating with Major League players. They're not college players. He knows that. Buster Posey knows that. And they aligned him with some great coaches, and they aligned him with some great advisors. When you start looking at Bruce Bochy coming back to the San Francisco Giants organization, Dusty Baker, my ex-teammate, also will be there. And I love this acquisition that the Giants did, Ron Washington. Of course, he was with the Angels last year as a manager, one of the best defensive coaches. When you align all those three and you put them in a room with Tony Vitello, you know you're going to get some education there, and you're going to get some confidence from all three of them. Ron Washington, one of my favorites. And he will make this defense a lot better than what it was last year. When you look at the infield of Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, right now Casey Schmidt, Christian Koss at second. And also when you got to look at first base, you got Rafael Devers and, of course, the young 21-year-old Bryce Eldridge. Right now, that's what you're looking at for the infield for the San Francisco Giants. Patrick Bailey, of course, winning his second Gold Glove, will be behind the dish. And you start looking in the outfield, Elliot Ramos most likely will be in left field. Jung-Hoo Lee will take over center field. Grant McCray also is another name that could pop in here in center field. And then right field really is, I think, it's a big question mark. You got 3 talented young players in Gerard Encarnacion, Luis Matos, and Drew Gilbert. But I think right now, that's what the Giants are looking at. Are these young players capable of making that move and an everyday opportunity, or will they be jungling guys around? Still some names that are still out there. Harrison Bader is still a name that the Giants are linked to and possibly bringing him in. That's a big name for the San Francisco Giants. Of course, the names that have been out there, Brendan Donovan from the St. Louis Cardinals in a possible trade. Luis Ariz is still out there. And you start thinking, are these names fits to help this team? And you start thinking about trades. Of course, it came out yesterday where the San Francisco Giants tried to go after C.J. Abrams from the Washington Nationals, and the Nationals just didn't want to pull the cord. And some of the names that were announced, and we don't know exactly every one of them, but the Giants tried to pull it off where C.J. Abrams could play maybe second base and not play shortstop. The deal didn't go through. Could it be reopened? We don't know. Those doors right now have been passed, so they're looking on for more players. They're looking at seeing different things. And I also look at what could be in a rotation. There's still some names still out there, but is it ready? Are they done with now with the rotation, as I just talked about, when you start looking at Logan Webb being your ace, Robbie Ray being number 2, nice 1-2 combination there last year. And then Landon Roop, who had injuries last year with the elbow and then the knee, could be possibly number 3. Tyler Mahle, last year, when you look at what he did, 2 years he's been in Texas, and no question Bruce Bochy had direct information on Tyler Mahle. He played with the Reds. and also, if you remember, Minnesota, and then he also played with Texas. Last year, he had a pretty good year with the Texas Rangers. He had 16 starts. He was 6-4 with a 2.18 earned run average, 86 innings pitched, 69 hits, only gave up 5 home runs. 31 years old. He signed a 1-year contract with the San Francisco Giants. 31-year-old Tyler Mahle. I saw a lot of video of him. Very good movement on the pitch. Does not walk many hitters. And when you start looking at that and you're looking at an infield that could possibly help him, I think that's a big pickup. The other one was Adrian Hauser, if you remember him. He was with the White Sox last year. He also 7 years with the Milwaukee Brewers. Of course, you might remember him facing the Giants many times. Played with the Mets, and he ended up getting traded last year to Tampa Bay. Had a very good year with the White Sox last year, a right-hander, 32 years old. He signed a 2-year deal. He ended up being a 6-2 with a 2.1 earned run average with Chicago, and that was with 11 starts. And then he got traded to Tampa Bay, ended up being 2-3 with a 4.7. But another 9-year veteran right there. Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser, both pickups to strengthen this rotation. And then you just got to look at what else the Giants have to complement that. And you look at right there, Hayden Birdsong. Will he come back? Last year, started the season in a bullpen, then moved to the rotation. Just could not get consistent. Ended up going back to AAA and did not have a good year. Looking for him to bounce back. You also have Carson Wisenhunt, Carson Seymour, Trevor McDonald. And I'll throw you a name out there that was traded over from the Mets is Blade Tidwell, a right-hander. He's got really good stuff. Of course, he came over from the Mets for that trade with Tyler Rogers. And that was also, when you look at Drew Gilbert, 2 good young players that the Giants picked up from the New York Mets. We'll talk more about it as the program gets going here. Javi Lopez, who is now an advisor for Buster Posey. He's going to be on with me in a little bit, 11:30. He's in Georgia. Boy, the ice is melting, and boy, it's really cold in those Georgia and Texas, all these states that usually don't have ice and snow are just getting pummeled today. And you start looking at the Midwest and the East Coast, the weather is dipping below zero. Treacherous weather. I grew up in Ohio, and these are the times where you don't move. You get in your house and you don't move. You look outside and there's nobody on the roads. It's just a tough time. But we are blessed here in California with sunny weather today. And you got to get out to San Ramon. They're having a good time out there. Doors are going to be opening up at noon. Of course, Derek Papa and Greg Silva will be out there. 2 great hosts that KNBR have. All right, we're going to take a quick break, jump right back in here, talk a little bit about the players that are going to be out in San Ramon, talk about some of their seasons, and we'll be joined with Javi Lopez pretty soon. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Giants warm-up show. KNBR Fanfest is starting, and the Giants are ready to roll here in San Ramon. City Center Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon. It's a fun day. Giants baseball. Wear your orange and black. Baseball is back. We'll take a quick break. Come back with more right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Webb pitches, and a swing and a miss. Strike three. Got him with the high fastball. That was the four-seamer. Probably the final pitch of the night for Logan Webb, his 9th strikeout. He pitched very well tonight.
This is the Giants Fan Fest warm-up show with Bill Laskey on the home of the orange and black. We are the sports leader.
Welcome back to the warm-up show as we get you ready for the second stop for the Giants Fan Fest in San Ramon. Get out to City Center Bishop Ranch right now. Opening doors at noon, free parking, free admission. Tony Vitello, Logan Webb, Jung-Hoo Lee, Landon Roop, Hayden Birdsong, Eric Miller. What a great group of players. And, of course, you get to meet the 47-year-old Tony Vitello. First time a manager has come from the ranks of college, now into big leagues. Joining me today, right now, boy, my good friend Javi Lopez, 4-time World Series champion. You can see his plaque on the San Francisco Wall of Fame. Of course, he's a member of the Giants broadcast team, and now he's an advisor with Kirk Caselli with Buster Posey. Let's talk to Javi. Javi, how are you today?
Hey, Bill. Good to hear your voice, man. That means baseball season's right around the corner.
Well, I think the biggest question right now, how is that ice storm coming into Georgia? I know I've been looking at the map. It's not too warm there right now, is it?
It's not warm. It hasn't started raining yet. I think all that stuff's going to start probably late evening, even into nighttime tonight, and then all day tomorrow. So, yeah, we don't do well. I don't know how many actual snow plows there are in this state. I can't imagine there's too many. But, yeah, the ice is always the X factor here. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. So it'll be a little bit of a shelter in place and some family time. Maybe watch some movies or something.
Even better. But, Javi, I'm going to spoil you. It's about 65 degrees out here, sunny, clear blue skies. So FanFest is definitely getting a good start here in San Ramon. But, you know, you go back in your years when you played. What does FanFest do for fans talking to players?
Well, I always thought that the Giants did a nice job with FanFest. We would do it at the stadium and kind of open it up. And I always felt like one of the cooler things about doing it at the stadium was the fact that a lot of kids would show up and they get a chance to see where their favorite players get to work and get to be a part of what it's like to be out on the field. And I know things have changed over the years, and I do like the outreach of hitting different spots in the city where you go meet the fans in their places, because it's an easier, let's be honest, it's not the easiest city to get to, getting downtown to San Francisco. So it's nice to meet the fans where they are and where they're from. And I always thought that was nice. It's a very low-key kind of atmosphere. You're able to really engage with the fans. It wasn't too much baseball talk. It was often, just talking about how's life, how's it going. And when you see the kids, you try to pump them up and try to build more baseball fans or get as many as you can. And I always thought that it was just a nice time to kind of get warmed up. And it was always a nice reminder that you just know in a few weeks you're going to be down there as pitchers and catchers report on the 10th. So you knew the timeline was speeding up a little bit once you're doing FanFest.
That voice you hear on the warm-up show is Javi Lopez. Of course, he's freezing in Georgia, and we're loving the sunshine here in San Ramon. And baseball is back. Let's talk about this a little bit, Javi. February 10th, pitchers and catchers get on the bump and start throwing, exercising those legs, getting ready for the season. February 15th, the full squad. Of course, the big question, Buster Posey hiring Tony Vitello as the manager, and a lot of new coaches, a lot of new faces. And, of course, you now are an advisor for Buster Posey. You and Kirk Caselli have jumped into that role. Tell me a little bit about your new role, and tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Tony.
Well, I want to definitely extend the thoughtfulness in that introduction. I think it's been great with Buster to have that conversation. We've been talking for the last year or so about my interest in maybe whether it was going to be in uniform or get back into try something new in a front office role. And so he extended this opportunity, and I was able to kind of jump on that. So as far as the front office advisor role kind of looks like is kind of the way I want to map it out, which has been nice. He's been able to give me a lot of flexibility in that regard. I've had conversations with the assistant GMs and even the player acquisition group and some scouts as well. And I intend to kind of dabble in all those and try to, I'll ultimately see what it looks like to run an organization. Let's see what that looks like from the bottom up, or from the top down, I should say. Because I've been able to watch the big league staff as a broadcaster. I've been doing that since I retired. So I've been able to kind of just keep an eye on the Giants as a whole in the 25, now 26-man rosters that it's turned out to be. But I haven't been able to really do a deep dive into the minor league. So I intend to kind of do that. And I've been able to look at a lot of video now and really get familiarized with a lot of the guys that are in Sacramento or Richmond or Eugene, San Jose, even the ACLs and the DCLs, to check out all those leagues and check out all these guys. So it's been kind of fun to kind of bounce around and just, it's a taste test, and it's been kind of fun to go about it. And I'm sure Casale would probably tell you the same thing, that it's always nice to be able to work with a guy that you have some familiarity with and some camaraderie with, being at the helm. It makes the transition just a little bit easier. But this is going to be an interesting year with an interesting bunch, and much like you mentioned, that with Tony Vitello taking over and the coaching staff, and again, there's seniors and advisors which have been great, as far as Bruce Bochy coming back, and Dusty Baker stepping up even more now, and Tony's surrounding himself with some people that he can bounce some things off, and he can definitely turn around on his bench and see Jace Tingler, former manager there, and more than anything, Ron Washington, a guy that's been at it for a long time. So it'll be a fun year. It'll be an interesting year.
Well, Javi, I think all the fans, as well as myself, is the broadcast over? Are you still going to do some TV?
I am still going to do some TV. We were able to work out a schedule that was going to be, it was going to work for me and for my family. So there will be a little bit of that. I'm going to back off on the number of games this season, but that's just because I really want to prioritize helping Buster Posey first and making sure that I give him my full attention, as well as trying to make sure that the broadcast is still in the forefront for me. But I want to make sure that I've made this commitment to Buster and the Giants organization, and I want to see it through.
Well, you and Buster both, you guys play together and you guys know each other very well, and the confidence factor and how much knowledge you guys both have, it's a great addition for you and something you always wanted to do. I know you and I talked a long time ago about getting back on the field. You had a little bit about that right when you got out of baseball, but man, you're genuine on that TV broadcast. Love listening to it. At least we get a little bit of Javi Lopez this year, and it's always great insight, and I always enjoyed it. And hopefully you'll continue to do what you want to do, especially with the Giants organization. Let's talk about the pitching staff a little bit and what the Giants have done here, Javi. Of course, looking at the rotation, the ace, Logan Webb, coming back after a great year. First Gold Glove last year and another 200 solid innings. Just one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And he surrounds him with Robbie Ray, the number 1 and 2 punch in that rotation. After that, they pick up Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser. I just talked about them briefly. Both 9-year veterans already. Tyler Mahle, of course, we remembered him with the Cincinnati Reds, Minnesota, and also he pitched with Texas, and I'm sure Bruce Bochy had a little plus into talking about him. And then you look at Adrian Hauser. What a great year he had with the White Sox. Of course, another 9-year veteran. Both these guys are 31 and 32 years old. What's your first input about both these guys in the rotation?
Well, I think it's guys that have a lot of veteran leadership in a sense. Tyler's got 8 years of service time, and Hauser's plugging along as well. Like, these guys have been able to, when they're healthy, they go to the post, and I think that's what you're looking for. You want guys that can get to the point where, if you're Tony or if you're any manager or any organization, when you make these signings, you're not trying to sign a guy to make 10 or 15 starts. You're hoping that you can get in that 25 to 35 range. And I think these guys, again, have that kind of upside. And you're also trying to hope that not only that, being the veterans that they are, again, with guys that have over 6+ years in the big leagues, that they've understood what it's taken to get to this level and what it takes to stay at this level. And I think that is the perk when you make a signing like this for these guys, that you bring them in, that you're not asking them to be anything different. You're just asking them, that I give you the ball, that you're going to make starts. And, Hauser made 21 starts last year between the White Sox and the Rays. And I think, that partially was because he was not called upon for a while. He had a great start to the season and he didn't get a chance. But when he did, he took advantage and he threw the ball extremely well. And then those 21 starts, he got to, I think, over 120 innings. So, these are guys that are not going to be huge strikeout guys. And I think that's one thing that the Giants were aware of with the infield that they have. They feel like they've got enough guys that can catch the ball. These are good ground ball pitchers. And I think when you have your platinum glove at third base and Chapman, and you got Adames who plays a solid shortstop, second base, I mean, you're playing. Casey Schmidt's been all over the place since being up with the Giants. I mean, he came up as a third baseman, but he's a guy that's been able to acclimate himself pretty well to second base. But, Christian Koss is a glove first guy for me that can pick it at any spot in that infield. And so you got guys that are going to be able to make some plays. And I think that didn't, the thing about the league when you look across it is you've got 27 outs. So they're trying to get big, high punch out guys, but the Giants have not been afraid to go get a guy that can get the ball on the ground and get outs. And Logan Webb has been, the best at it for a long time now in the black and orange, that you can get in there and you don't have to go out and strike out everybody. Now his strikeout numbers have gone up, but Logan Webb is always going to be a kind of guy that's going to get you a ground ball, especially when you need it to turn a double play. And I think these guys, that's what they're asking them to do, is don't change, just be used, keep the ball down in the zone and hit it to the infield. That's going to make some plays for you behind you.
Javi Lopez joining me on the warm-up show as you get out to San Francisco Giants Fanfest. That's going on in San Ramon, opening the doors here at noon. City Center Bishop Ranch, a great group of players out there. And one of the guys that are out there, and I want to talk a little bit about him, is Landon Roop. Of course, had a knee injury, had a little elbow issue, but boy, he really threw the ball well coming out of spring training to get in that starting rotation. Your thoughts on Landon Roop most likely being this five-man rotation?
You know what? Everything he's done has just been impressive. He's 27 now, and he's really been getting at it. I really like his approach. I like his demeanor. I'm the 3 Ps I like to say when I broadcast, and I've said it for a while. It's pace, poise, and presence, and I feel like he's got all those. He works quick. He's another guy that gets an awful lot of ground balls. He's up over 40% on that. I think what I really like about him, again, not only is he able to attack, but he can get the lefties and the righties out. He's got a pretty good little whiff rate going. His strikeouts, he can get you a punch out when you need it, but he's throw any pitch in any count kind of guy. I think when he's on, he's a guy that you can see reaching that 30 start range. I mean, he made 22 starts last year. You talked about some of the injuries that he had, but he's a guy that is going to be in the zone. He's going to throw a lot of first pitch strikes. He's on the attack, and I think that what I really enjoy is that it's a guy that just works down. When he's right, he's commanding down in the zone, and he's getting lots of ground balls. He doesn't give up a lot of homers, and I do think that you pencil them in. Who knows where ultimately he goes, whether he's going to be 3 or 4 or 5, wherever they decide to put him in. I think it's a lot of pressure for a young guy, a guy that has a year of service, to be a number 3. But if there's a guy that I would, with the moxie and the competitive nature that he has, I think he would love that role. And I bet you when you go into spring training and you dangle that carrot, like, hey, dude, you go and dominate, and you just show yourself in spring training, you're our number 3. I think that's all the motivation a guy like that's going to need.
Javi, last year he came out of spring training trying some new pitches. He tried the split finger, he tried the slider. Of course, the sinker and the curveball are his 2 best pitches. Do you feel he has to get that third pitch in, maybe that change up a little bit more, maybe a different type of pitch than just be a 3-pitch mixed pitcher as a starter? Because he seems like when he gets in that rut, he goes back to that sinker curveball, which is pretty good, But again, as a starting pitcher, I think you need 3 to 4 pitches. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the 3 pitches are always an X factor. I think, again, I mean, if you're Landon Roop, I mean, how excited are you that you get to watch Logan Webb? I mean, that's basically what he throws is kind of the package that you want to have, and you have that arsenal to some extent. The changeup I think, is a good pitch for Landon. Again, you're going to have to throw it a little bit more, and I'd like to see that maybe come to the forefront. Maybe he'll focus on that in spring training to really get that pitch, because that curveball is dominant. We've seen it be one of the best curveballs in the league, not only with spin rate, but just the effectiveness, the way the confidence that he has in it, the command that he can throw that. It's not easy to do. I mean, I was a curveball pitcher out of college and into pro ball as a starter, and I wasn't confident or consistent enough with it, and that's how I ended up in the bullpen. So, the fact that you can able to spin it, be able to spin it with confidence in any count, just shows the kind of moxie that he has. And again, it's a guy with a lot of upside, and I do think that, again, if there's any situation that he gets into, all he has to do is either tap Logan Webb on the shoulder or go look at some video, and that's a nice frame of reference to actually have in the same uniform.
Javi Lopez joining me on the warm-up show as we get you ready for Fanfest number 2 in San Ramon, opening doors at 12 noon today. Autographs, ticket offers, baseball mystery sign for Junior Giants, face painting, so much more. And it's baseball weather here in San Ramon, where in Georgia, where Javi is, it's not baseball weather. It's pretty damn cold there, Javi. But let's talk about a couple different arms. Yeah, let's talk about a couple different arms, because I really enjoyed watching Hayden Birdsong throw 2 years ago. Very impressive. Last year, coming out of the bullpen, I thought he threw well, and a couple injuries he got back in a rotation, and it just didn't fare for him. Going back to AAA, he struggled. Different things from arm slot, different arm movements, different arm pitches. The pitches weren't, crisp like it was. And you're looking at Hayden Birdsong. He's only 24 years old. A lot to go through last year. What is it going to take him to bounce back? And do you think they'll just make him a starter this year and kind of flush the bullpen from him?
Well, I think he's an ultimate X factor, right? I mean, again, we've seen him be so dominant and get some high leverage appearances out of the bullpen last year. He made the team because he was, quite frankly, one of the best arms, and that's one of the things Buster was going to say when he took over last year. It's like, I'm going with my best arms, and we'll figure it out after that. And that's exactly what happened. Like he was able to make the team, broke with the club, and he started, just losing sight of the strike zone, and he talked at length about that. He had some interviews about, the strike zone just kind of moving around on him and not able to lock in. But he's you got to think of all these guys being, if you want to go with racing analogies, that he's your F1. This is F1 racing, and he's one of the prime machines that you're trying to figure out and make sure you do a tweak here and tweak there, because I think he's got no hit stuff. Like, I think he's got the ability to be absolutely nasty, and we've seen it, and it's just a matter of consistency. I mean, not many guys can go into Colorado and have multiple two double-digit strikeouts in Colorado, and I think a shutout, and I forgot the other outings there, but I mean, he can dominate. If you can dominate at that kind of altitude, you can dominate anywhere else. So it's the guy that I think just needs to, more than anything, I think it's more of a mental approach with him. Just you're going to get punched in the mouth a few times, and I think it happened a couple times last year, and it affected him, whether he lost belief in his stuff. Those are questions that he'll have to answer. But I think when you look at it now, and you look at the macro part of all this, I feel like all the stuff that he has is there, all the intangibles. I think he's a bulldog as well. I think he's got the stuff. Now, the delivery at times was a little bit difficult for him to repeat. I think that's something that you would want to clean up going forward. But I really love his stuff. Again, you mentioned that he's 24 years old. He's just got a year in of service time. But I think if you can help this guy, he could do anything. I'd like to see him as a starter just because of his build. But if you told me he could be a closer, it wouldn't take too long to sell me on it. because his stuff just plays, and it's just a guy that needs to get back into the zone. I mean, he's walking over 5 guys per 9 last year, and I think that is something that, even though he can strike out a guy an inning, even more than a guy an inning, it's tough to defend a walk. And I think that's where we just got to, as an organization, just get him back in the zone and believing in Hayden Birdsong.
Boy, I agree with everything you just said. He's got light stuff. Boy, he can get people out, and that curveball's nasty, and that changeup's nasty. It's just got to get him back on track, and the consistency that we saw out of him 2 years ago was just remarkable. A couple more questions with Javi Lopez as we get you ready for San Ramon for the second stop for Fanfest for the San Francisco Giants. I want to dive into his bullpen. A couple arms got taken away from him last year, and Ryan Walker, again, looks like he could be the closer. So many good names down there, from Spencer Bivens, Jose Budo, Joel Peguero, JT Brubaker. There's so many different guys that could fit different roles. And then you look at the left side. Of course, Eric Miller was just a big-time lefty, got hurt last year. Had some great, outstanding appearances coming out of the bullpen. Matt Gage picked up a couple other left-handers. What do you see out of this bullpen? Because there's a lot of jobs open right now.
And that's exactly it. I think I see a lot of competition going into spring training. I think it's going to be an exciting time, February into March, and seeing who rises to the occasion. I think that there are a lot of guys that have big league experience. You know, Foley's a guy that has been a closer with the Tigers. You brought him into the fold here. You got Bivens, who really threw the ball well, I thought, in the bulk inning role that he kind of had going, and you know, Keaton Wynn, we've seen him be great with that split finger and that high fastball. You know, Brubaker, Tristan Beck. There's a lot of guys that you can see making this club. It'll be some hard decisions. I think Eric Miller, again, is a fantastic lefty with that kind of velocity. You don't see that very often. Hentges, with the way he's been able to throw when he's been healthy. Again, the medical staff thinks that he'll be fine, which is a great addition, because the way he threw the ball with the Guardians was fantastic. And then you got San Martin as well. You got a lot of different looks. I like the way that this is kind of constructed going into spring training, is that not both left and rights, you got different packages from just about every single pitcher in a different arm slot as well. So I think ultimately, if you go with Walker to be your closer, you can still find different ways to get him the ball and get him set up, which could be quite difficult, I think, when it comes down to it, when you're an opposing hitter, having to face a different look every single time.
You know, Javi, both of us are major league pitchers. That's what you want when you go to spring training, right? An opportunity to make the team. And I think this bullpen is going to be wide open for Tony Vitello and his pitching staff to take a look at everybody. And as you brought up some new names and some new arms, it's going to be an exciting time. And it starts February 10th. February 10th, pitchers and catchers, Javi. But I want to thank you for your time today. Great insight once again. And I'm so glad you are now in a role that you like. But, of course, I love watching you on TV.
Well, Bill, I appreciate the kind words. And thanks for having me, as always. And, again, FanFest is a great time, so I'm happy for those guys to be out there and share some time and with those fans that have been so passionate for San Francisco.
Well, stay warm in Georgia, get that fire going, and watch some good movies with the family. And, Javi, I appreciate your time today.
Anytime. You got it. We'll be doing that.
All right. That was Javi Lopez on the warm-up show as we open the gates here in San Ramon City Center Bishop Ranch at 12 noon. The gates are open. A lot of fun times out here for the San Francisco Giants for the second stop right here for FanFest as we get you ready for San Francisco Giants baseball 2026. My name's Bill Laskey. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more right here on the warm-up show for the San Francisco Giants right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader.
2-2 pitch. Little bouncer hit softly, third base side. Into field it is Chapman. Here's the throw to first, and he got him! What a play with a fast runner on a softly hit ground ball to third. Chapman sprinting in, gloving it just in front of the bag, and while still on the run, The ball game is over. The Giants make it 2 in a row over the Mariners.
Back to the Giants Fan Fest warm-up show with Bill Laskey on the Sports Leader.
Welcome back. My name's Bill Laskey. The doors are open here in San Ramon City Center, Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road, San Ramon. Come on out. Admission is free. Parking is free. Got a great fan fest going on right now. Tony Vitello, the first-time manager from the Tennessee Volunteers, is out here. Logan Webb, the ace, of course, the two-time All-Star, 24 and 25. And last year, how about him winning his first Gold Glove? What a season Logan Webb had last year. 15 and 11 with a 3.2 earned run average, 34 starts, 224 strikeouts. He led the National League. 207 innings once again. He is your ace, no question about it. He's out here. Jung-Hoo Lee coming in from Korea. Of course, the 27-year-old had a great year last year. Played in 150 games, hit 266, 10 stolen bases. And I love these numbers, 31 doubles, 10 triples. And, you know, when you start looking at what Jung-Hoo Lee did, his first full season in Major League Baseball, as we remember, he got injured his first year after signing a 6-year, $113 million deal to be with the Giants. Landon Roop's out here. Of course, Landon had an up-and-down year last year, looking to rebound to be back in that rotation. Eric Miller also, what a great year he had last year before he got injured. 36 appearances, 4-1 with a 1.5 earned run average, and he is going to be a big stay in that left-handed spot in the bullpen for the San Francisco Giants. Hayden Birdsong also trying to rebound last year, had a good start out of the bullpen, just couldn't get the consistent numbers out of him in the rotation. But boy, oh boy, what a good group of players. And you get to meet the 47-year-old Tony Vitello. He was in San Jose last week and had a great time, so he wanted to come to San Ramon and welcome in Tony and his pitchers and Jung-Hoo Lee. Just a great time out here as we get you going for FanFest. It's open the doors at noon. So we're going to continue with that warm-up show, and I'm going to bring in a good friend of mine. He's Round the Foghorn. You guys got to take a peek at the podcast that he does. Jeff's been on with me many times last year. Let's bring on Jeff Young. Jeff, welcome in. 2026 baseball season is alive.
Hey, how's it going, Bill? Happy New Year. It feels like baseball season's right around the corner.
Boy, when you look outside, Jeff, and you see the weather here in California, look across the nation, you just wonder, boy, are we spoiled or what out here in California? What a gorgeous day to have FanFest.
Yeah, it's hard not to get excited about that. It's just a good time of year. I mean, once baseball starts, it really feels like the year, starts to really the routine gets back.
It sure does. And you start looking at dates, February 10th, pitchers and catchers. Right after that, 5 days later, a full squad. And right then, February 21st, they start spring training games and everything starts getting evaluated. We start talking about Tony Vitello. Everybody's got a lot of different thoughts about him. He's walking into some big shoes. He's never managed even in professional baseball. Well, when you look at what he did at Tennessee, very impressive numbers. Your first thoughts when Buster Posey hired him, and you're hearing a lot of interviews he's done on KNBR, a very, very energetic guy, very, very meaning about loving baseball. He's a lifetimer. He says, I'm not married. I'm married to baseball. And sometimes, you know what? Those are the guys that really accomplish a lot of things that they go after.
Yeah, he's a very charismatic guy for a manager. You don't really see that a lot with baseball managers. They're a little more, I guess, conservative with their approach. But he's more animated, more charismatic. I think the thing that stands out to me is the people he's kind of filled out his coaching staff with. I mean, you look at guys like even like a Ron Washington, who's going to be working with the infielders this year. I think, he doesn't have the experience, but he's surrounded himself with a lot of good guys who bring a lot to the table. And I think the Giants believe that this coaching staff is going to really, help this roster show improvements this year.
Jeff Young joining me. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter or X at BaseballJeff1 as the doors are open here now. As the second stop for the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest is open here in San Ramon. Still a lot of time to come out. The doors are just open. A lot of things going on. A Q&A stage that's Derek Papa and Greg Silver will be talking to a lot of these players. Of course, Tony's out here, Logan Webb, Jung-Hoo Lee, Landon Root, Hayden Birdsong, Eric Miller. There's going to be an autograph stage. There's face painting. It's all good baseball stuff as we get ready for the 2026 San Francisco Giants baseball season. Well, Jeff, not a lot of moves, but I think they strengthened the rotation by getting Maley and Hauser. But I want to go into what you do the best. You follow the minor leagues extremely well. We talked all last year about the top prospects. And I want to look at the top 100 prospects. The Giants have 4 players now with Bryce Eldridge, Joshua Gonzalez, Bo Davidson, and Johnny Level. Good players, some young players. When you look at Gonzalez being 18 years old as a shortstop, Davidson is 23, at 18 home runs last year. Johnny Level's another one, 18 years old at shortstop. But, of course, the number one guy we have to talk about is a 21-year-old Bryce Eldridge. And, boy, he had a good year in AAA, not so well at the big league level. What are your expectations on all 4 of these players, and where do you think Eldridge has fit in?
Yeah, I know the Giants haven't really committed to starting the 2026 season with Eldridge on the roster, but, if he hits in spring training, then he probably takes the decision out of their hands, and they're okay with that. There's no one really blocking Eldridge at DH, so I think there's playing time. So it's really going to depend on how he does in spring training. If he doesn't hit all that well, maybe he starts the year in AAA, and that wouldn't be a bad outcome either. He's still very young. He'd be in his junior year in college if he went that route. So I think if he hits, there's a good chance he's on the opening day roster and sees a lot of playing time at DH and splits time at first base. Bo Davidson was a guy who was mentioned by Kyle Haynes, who's the Giants director of or vice president of player development. And he was mentioned as a guy who could help the Giants roster as soon as this year. That top prospect list you mentioned was put together by Baseball America, and there was a guy who even viewed who said that scouts view Davidson as a 5-tool player who's shown improvement defensively, good runner, hits with power, plays center field. And then Johnny Lovell and Joshua Gonzalez are a little younger. Gonzalez was one of the top international free agent signings in 2025. Lovell was signed 2 years ago. Both still very young, so coming up through the Giants farm system. If you want to look at minor league affiliates to look at, San Jose, the Arizona Complex League, and Eugene are going to be fun teams to follow this year.
Well, Jeff, let's take a look at what the Giants have on the field this year. And, of course, the left side is, no doubt, Matt Chapman and Willie Adames, 2 premier players. Got to play with each other last year many times and really complemented each other. Then you got to look on the other side of the diamond where Casey Schmidt, Christian Koss, Rafael Devers, and Bryce Eldridge most likely will get opportunities. What do you see about this infield as you look forward to the new coming season?
Yeah, it should be a good infield, especially defensively. You got Matt Chapman, who's won 4 Gold Gloves at third base. Willie Adames' defense really rebounded last year. I know the Giants view Devers' defense as something that could turn into, a Gold Glove caliber player at first base. And then you have second base, and, Casey Schmidt looks relatively new. Not necessarily new, but I think that's the path to playing time for a guy like Casey Schmidt. He came up as a third baseman, but he'll probably have to learn how to play second base to get at bats with the Giants. So I think the infield defense should be a strength. Obviously, that there's a lot of power hitters in that group as well with Chapman, Adames, and Devers. So that part of the roster should be a good bench for the Giants, both for the lineup and defensively. I'd guess that Schmidt enters the year as the everyday player at second base, and he showed enough promise last year with the bat to earn that.
Jeff Young joining me. Of course, you can read his stuff on the Giants on Round the Foghorn. Does a great job there. Also on X at Baseball Jeff #1. The news came out yesterday about the Giants trying to go after C.J. Abrams, and they just couldn't come close to a trade. Were you surprised at that? Were you thinking about, hey, could this have helped if Abrams would have been able to come over on the roster? And most likely he would have been playing second base.
Yeah, he would have been an upgrade at second base, that's for sure. I get what the Giants were trying to do there. He has 3 years of team control remaining, and, that has a lot of value in trade talks. So it wasn't too surprising to see the Giants connected to C.J. Abrams. They've been connected to a bunch of second basemen this offseason. That's clearly a position that they're still looking to upgrade if they can. But, it takes two teams to make a trade, and the Giants haven't been able to connect there. It feels like that they put out a pretty competitive offer for C.J. Abrams, but the Nationals have a high asking price for him because he's a good player. He's under team control, so it's not too surprising to see the Giants be involved there. But it's going to take a lot to get a player of that caliber with 3 years of team control, and I think the Giants realize that.
Jeff, you and I talked about Patrick Bailey and the troubles he's had on the offensive side, of course, last year. On the defensive side, won his second Gold Glove. Now they have the automated ball and strike thing added into Major League Baseball, and pitch framing might take a little bit away from Patrick Bailey. Backup catcher yet to be determined. Of course, they picked up Daniel Susac. He was also drafted by the Oakland A's from Roseville, a young player, 24 years old. What do you think at the catcher's position, and what do you think the Giants will do for a backup catcher?
Yeah, I mean, they traded for Daniel Susac, so that makes me think that that's somebody that they view highly for that role for being a backup catcher. So, going into spring training, he's somebody who I think kind of has the edge in that competition. He's a Rule 5 pick, even though it was a trade from the Minnesota Twins. The Twins picked Susac from the A's in the Rule 5 draft, so he's still under those same rules. So I feel like he has an inside edge. And then they have Jesus Rodriguez, who they traded for with the New York Yankees last summer. He's somebody that they like, who's still a little raw defensively behind the plate. And then they also added more of a veteran catcher named Eric Haas. Played with the Detroit Tigers and Milwaukee Brewers. He hits with a little bit of power. More of a bat-first catcher than anything else. But, yeah, I think if you're looking at the camp competition for backup catcher, it's probably Susac with the inside track. And then, Haas and Rodriguez and a few others might be able to, might be able to compete for that role as well.
Well, KNBR warm-up show is going to continue here as we're welcoming in San Francisco Giants fans here in San Ramon, California, City Center Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon. Free admission, free parking. Come on out and bring the kids. A great host of players here with Tony Vitello, Logan Webb, Jung-Hoo Lee, Landon Roop, Hayden Birdsong, Eric Miller. There's going to be a Q&A stage going on here with Derek Papa and Greg Silver. Come on out. It's a great day for baseball and a lot of different things. Giants ticket offers out here, a trading card wall, face painting, and we're getting you ready for February 10th when pitchers and catchers start. Well, Jeff, we want to talk a little bit about the outfield because these are some opportunities for some new names, and there's still opportunities that the Giants could go out. One of the big names is Harrison Bader. You've been talking about it a lot on your X account. What do you think about Harrison Bader, and could this be a fit for the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, I mean, the outfield defense was a problem last year for the Giants, and they, Buster Posey said at the start of the offseason that they aim to improve the outfield defense, and adding a guy like Harrison Bader would definitely do that. My guess is if they went out and signed him, he would probably take over in center field, and that would move Jung-Hoo Lee to right field. And that's probably a better defensive alignment anyway. That's probably a better long-term position for Lee anyway. So I think in that sense, he would check off that box in terms of what he offers offensively. He's coming off of a really good year. all the indicators, point to him being a regression candidate in 2026, meaning that, he's coming off of a good year, but his numbers probably won't be as strong in 2026. There was some, good fortune with his performance last year. So I think he'd be a nice fit. I know he's looking for a multi-year deal. I think he does a lot to improve the outfield defense, which was a problem. I think it really comes down to, what it costs in terms of years and dollars, and that's kind of the hard point. That's kind of the hard part to really pin down at the moment, because he wants a multi-year deal. I just don't know if that's the right fit in that sense, but if the Giants are trying to improve outfield defense, that's one way to do it.
Jeff Young joining me. Of course, you can follow him on X at BaseballJeff1. Does a fantastic job all winter long. Did a great job, Jeff, and all through the season. Really puts out some great information about the minor leagues as well as the big leagues. Elliot Ramos most likely will be your starting left fielder. Jung-Hoo Lee right now your center fielder, possibly Grant McCray trying to fight there. And then we got to go look at right field. Gerard Encarnacion, who's having a great winter, to tell you the truth. He's really hitting the ball well. Luis Matos and Drew Gilbert. Luis Matos, 14.2% K rate, 28th in Major League Baseball. And that's all the way from 2023, minimum 500 plate appearances. How much players Matos and Gilbert going to get to possibly make this team?
Well, Matos is going to be out of options this year, so he's really going to have to make a good impression in spring training to make the opening day roster. If he doesn't, he'll have to be put on waivers. The same is true for Gerard Encarnacion. And then Drew Gilbert, more of I think he showed a pretty decent glove out there last year, passable at all three outfield positions, which holds value. I don't know if it's necessarily as an everyday player in 2026, but maybe as a fourth outfielder. So, I think the Giants want to see, if they don't make another addition to the outfield, it's going to come down to who, makes the biggest impact in spring training. And it wouldn't surprise me to see a guy like Matos or Encarnacion really put together a strong tactics league leading to, starting the year's opening day right fielder. Whether they remain in that role, a couple of months down the road remains to be seen. But, I think I don't know if the Giants have an answer to who's going to be the opening day right fielder. I think they're going to want somebody from that group, whether it's McCray, Gilbert, Encarnacion, or Matos. I think they're going to want one of those guys to really go out and earn that spot if they leave it open.
Jeff, you and I talked several times last year, and you and I both talked about Drew Gilbert playing center field. He really opened our eyes up about the possibility of being center fielder. The range he had was remarkable, and some of the things he did with his arm, fantastic. Really a strong arm, capable of playing all three positions. Is this something that you think that could possibly happen, him playing a little center field?
He could, and I think Jung-Hoo Lee played 150-plus games last year, which is a really heavy workload for any position player. I think the better allocation of playing time it really is for most players is somewhere between 130 and 145 games. So if that's the case, then I think that opens up some playing time for a guy like Drew Gilbert in center field, which I think you get a pretty good glove out there in center field, and he could be a pretty decent matchup against right-handed pitching as well. So, I think there's an opportunity for playing time in center field out there for a guy like Drew Gilbert.
As we finish up with Jeff Young here on the warm-up show, as the doors have opened here in San Ramon, a lot of great Giants fans coming out here wearing their orange and black, getting excited for the 2026 baseball season. Positives and negatives coming in here, Jeff, for the 2026 season. Still some acquisitions that could happen. What do you see Buster Posey possibly doing? Maybe adding some names, maybe not. What do you think of this roster right now?
Yeah, I think if they're going to make any additions, the one that makes the most sense right now is upgrading the bullpen, which is still very much a work in progress at this point. It's the same group that finished last year. A guy like Ryan Walker could end up rebounding after having kind of a rough year in 2025. That would not be too surprising. So I think that's the spot that they're going to look to upgrade. if they do make any upgrades. But I think the lineup for the most part they're content with the rotation. They're content with at this point. There's going to be opportunity for some of their younger pitchers to make starts in 2026. This is not a rotation that's where all 5 pitchers are going to make 25 plus starts. There's going to be playing time there. So I think the Giants have added a little bit of depth for the rotation. The lineup's going to look very similar to the one that finished last year. There's still some weak spots on the roster that they need to address, and I hope they do so before spring training. But really, the priority right now, I think, has to be the bullpen.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind you. A couple arms that left last year were big parts of it, and you kind of watch that bullpen go negative, kind of trying to put pieces together as Bob Melvin tried to get it to go, and it just didn't work out. And you know what? 81-81 last year. Let's hope for better this year. That was Jeff Young on the warm-up show. Jeff, thanks again. Baseball season's upon us, and I can't wait to talk to you more as the season progresses.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Bill. It's always a pleasure.
That was Jeff Young. You can read his work at Round the Foghorn. Also on X, you can follow him at Baseball Jeff #1. Great insight on San Francisco Giants as well as Major League Baseball. We're going to take a quick break here. Come on down. It's all open right now at City Center Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon, California. It is a fun time out here. A lot of fans are out here, a lot of kids, and I think that's the big thing. Baseball is back. Orange and Black is back. San Francisco Giants baseball is back. My name's Bill Laskey. We're going to take a quick break and come back more right here on the warm-up show on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. Bailey drives one, deep left field, and gone! Patrick Bailey! Another walk-off for him, and this time it's a grand slam! Everybody at home plate, and Bailey touches home. A moment that he'll never forget against the Dodgers in a pennant race.
This is the Giants Fanfest warm-up show with Bill Laskey on the home of the Orange and Black. We are the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the KNBR warm-up show out here in San Ramon, the second stop for the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest, City Center Bishop Ranch. Come on out. We're out here till 3 o'clock, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon. Come on over where the Q&A stage is, and you'll be able to meet Greg Silver and Derek Papa. Of course, Greg Silver works with Greg Papa from 10 to 2 Monday through Friday. Derek Papa also co-hosts with Adam Copeland on Dirty Work from 2 to 6. They'll be doing some Q&As with some great players out here. Tony Vitello, the 47-year-old first-time manager from the college ranks, he'll be out here for some Q&A. Of course, the ace Logan Webb, what a great year he had, 15-11 with a 3.2 earned run average, two-time All-Star, a Gold Glove winner. Jung-Hoo Lee's out here. He's back from Korea. He'll be going down to Arizona right after this to start working out. The 27-year-old had a great year last year, 150 games, 266 batting average, 31 doubles, 10 triples. Landon Roop going to rebound after a couple of injuries from last year to have a strong season this year. Hayden Birdsong, Susan Slusher's out there. She just tweeted that Logan Webb was watching Hayden Birdsong, changed a couple mechanical things, and we talked about that with Javi Lopez early. He said he's throwing bullets, and I think that excites all of us to see what Hayden Birdsong can do after a subpar year last year. And Eric Miller coming back, a big lefty. We need Eric Miller back in this bullpen. Last year before he got injured, 36 appearances, a 4-1 record, a 1.5 earned run average. I saw him over the winter. He is looking strong. He can throw pellets too. So a good group of players come out. We're here till 3 p.m. Of course, the warm-up show's going on till 1. But come on out. There's a lot of things for kids to do. There's a lot of San Francisco Giant ticket offers. There's a mystery ball for junior Giants, really a good program that Sue Peterson puts on. A trading card wall. That's right. It's pretty cool. A face painting for kids. Always kids love that. And much, much more. So come on out. The weather's beautiful. Admission is free. Parking is free. And it's a Giants' second stop at FanFest. Well, next Saturday, we're going to travel to Sacramento for the third stop. And that's going to be at Sacramento. And that's going to be Sutter Health Ballpark. What a beautiful ballpark that is. And that's where the Sacramento Rivercats AAA team plays. That's also going to be from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Dusty Baker's going to be up here. Robbie Ray and Elliot Ramos. Just 3 names so far. There's going to be a host of more players coming out on January 31st in Sacramento, the third stop of the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest. And then it ends on March 14th. That's going to be at Oracle Park. You can come out to Oracle Park, walk on the field, go through the clubhouse, go through the press box. It's a great time to kind of discover and walk around one of the best ballparks, and I'm going to say the best ballpark in Major League Baseball. That's from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. You're going to be able to meet some more KNBR hosts and also some San Francisco alumni and, of course, the greatest broadcast team in Major League Baseball, John Miller, Dave Fleming, Dwayne Kuiper, and Mike Krukow. So that's all coming up. 2 more stops after today, but still time to come out here. What a gorgeous day it is today. Of course, most of the United States is in freeze warnings, ice, snow, but here in California, we're spoiled, and why not come out here and spoil the San Francisco Giants players? Come on out here and meet them, get some autographs, get to know them a little bit. All right, let's go on, move on with the warm-up show. A good friend of mine coming on next. Of course, He's a big Cal guy. Of course, I love talking to this guy. He's always been on a lot of late-night shows with him. I call him Late Night Croner. Let's bring in Steve Croner. Steve, welcome to the 2026 San Francisco baseball season. How are you today, my friend?
Bill, I was doing okay, and then listening to your enthusiasm for Fanfest today and Fanfest next week in Sacramento, and then Fanfest, I think, in March at the ballpark. I'm ready to go. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. Let's go.
You're ready to play some center field, huh? With John Fogerty, right?
Yeah, I can't sing, and as a player, I made up for a lack of range with a lack of arm, so I certainly couldn't play center. But
Steve, a new season. Yeah, new
Yep.
season's upon us, and I've been talking to Javi Lopez and Jeff Young, and of course Tony Vitello's been on with KNBR several different shows. The enthusiasm he has, and it's going to be a tough spot for him coming from Tennessee, not doing anything in the minor leagues or even in the professional ranks as a manager, and now he's going to be put in a spot as a manager of the San Francisco Giants, and he's going to start right now, February 10th, when pitchers and catchers come into camp, and he's got to show some enthusiasm to see this team kind of get together on that first day and see how it progresses as the season goes. What did you think of this hire when Buster Posey named him? I know you've been listening to some interviews. What's your first thoughts on Tony?
I mean, Buster has said it. Tony said it himself at his introductory news conference. It's a gamble. There's no question about it. It's when anything is the first time it's happened, it'd be disingenuous for me to say, yeah, I know it's going to work, or yeah, I know it's not going to work. But I think it's a gamble that obviously Buster Posey thinks is worth taking, and Tony Vitello had such a good situation with the Volunteers that you would have to think he didn't come here without knowing that he was going to have enough support to not guarantee that he's going to have success, but to make it as likely as possible that he would have success. So it's a gamble, but I think it's one that Buster Posey and Tony Vitello are excited to take.
Steve, one of the statements that Tony made, there are very high standards to meet because of the past. This is a challenge that I've been presented with, and I'm humbled and honored to take on this challenge. There's a challenge in everything, but this guy at 47 years old, he's not married. He says, I'm married to baseball. He's a baseball lifer. You and I have talked to many of these players, a lot of coaches, a lot of managers that have done the same thing. Is this good for baseball? Is this something that he's going to have to kind of pull back a little bit and take a break as the season progresses?
Well, that's obviously one of the biggest question marks that Tony has coming into a major league season. College seasons are 50 to 60 games spread out over 4 or 5 months. Baseball, you got 162 games. It's almost inconceivable you can have the same amount of enthusiasm, energy for 162 games. We're all human. You just can't. But you also can't, what's the word I'm looking for? You can't just, mail it in either. You've got to find that level that you're up to the point you can be each day without getting too high or too low. You certainly think the guy's smart enough. And to me, from his introductory news conference, the thing that impressed me the most is that he had a combination of confidence and humility. And those are really important in anything, but particularly if you're a leader. You've got to be confident enough that you think you know or you do know enough to lead a group, but you've got to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything and you do need some help. Mm-hmm. And to me, he did embody both of those characteristics. He seemed confident enough in his abilities, and he also seemed humble enough to know he didn't have all the answers.
That voice you hear on the warm-up show is Steve Croner, good friend of mine. Of course, he covers the San Francisco Giants prospects for Baseball America. You can follow him on X at Steve Croner SF, and that's Kroner. Now, one of the things that I thought Buster Posey did correctly here, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, is you surround them with three men that you and I have covered and we know very well. Bruce Bochy, Dusty Baker, and Ron Washington. All three guys have had so much experience, so many good things in the baseball world. What did you think about that triple-headed monster right there and all the information that Tony's going to get out of each one of these guys?
Yeah, Bill, I rarely disagree with you on anything, but I certainly agree with you on this one. Yeah, I mean, those three guys, that's baseball royalty right there, right? For
sure
the last 3, 4, 5 decades. It'd be hard to find three gentlemen with as much baseball information. And, I have talked to Ron Washington maybe once or twice, so I can't say, I have any kind of personal relationship with Ron, but I have talked certainly with Bruce and Dusty many times over the years. Mm-hmm. And not only do they have a lot of knowledge, but they have a very good way to pass on that knowledge. And I would assume, considering how well Ron Washington has done with infielders, you can ask Eric Chavez for one, that Ron's ability to pass along knowledge is similar to Dusty's and Mr. Bochy's. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where that when we talked about earlier that Buster provided Tony with, the resources to be successful, even though he doesn't have the major league experience. Those three guys are about as good a resource as you can have if you're a first-time manager in Major League Baseball.
When you talk about Bochy, Baker, Washington, and all the things that they've done in baseball, Steve, the accolades are right there. Every one of them, Manager of the Year, and all the leadership roles they've had, even going back with players, when they were all three players. Of course, Baker and Washington were teammates of mine. I had Washington in Cleveland when I was with the Indians. Of course, Dusty was here with the Giants. Ron and I go all the way back playing winter ball together. It's just the way they teach. It's the way they're so calm and collective. And that's what I think Tony's going to have to learn a little bit at the major league level. The college level, the rip-roaring, high-fiving, jumping, you can still have that. But I think at the major league level, he's going to have to pull back a little bit. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree with you there, but to a point. I'll semi-disagree with you, and I think maybe this might be one of the reasons why Buster chose Tony Vitello to become the manager. There's thoughts that, back in your day, back when I was a younger guy, and players went through. Players went through. You had to go A ball, double A.
Yeah.
Players stayed in the minor leagues for the most part for a lot longer than they do now. So I think one of the things that probably enticed Buster to hire Tony Vitello was that Tony Vitello obviously did some good teaching at Tennessee to get that program to where it is. So even though guys are in the major leagues right now, there are still a lot of them who need the kind of teaching that used to be done, say, 15, 20, 30 years ago in the minor leagues. If guys aren't staying in the minor leagues that long, they need more teaching at the big league level, and you would assume that that's one of Tony Vitello's strengths.
We're out here on the KNBR warm-up show here in San Ramon, City Center, Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road. Come on out. What a beautiful day it is out here. Derek Papa, Greg Silver at the Q&A stage, interviewing some of the great players that the Giants are having out here right now. And you got Tony Vitello, as Steve and I were just talking about. Logan Webb, the ace. What a great year he had, two-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner. Jung-Hoo Lee is out here with his interpreter. And then you got Landon Roop, Hayden Birdsong, and Eric Miller. Just a good group of Giant players. Still got time to come out here. Admission is free. Parking is free. So many things to do out here. Face painting for the kids. Autographs. There's a trading baseball wall. A lot of good things going on. And it's out here. We're out here till 3 o'clock. So, come on out. It's baseball season. I mean, the weather here is beautiful. Across the United States, not so beautiful, but we are sure spoiled here in San Ramon today. Steve, you followed Cal baseball for many, many years, and this year Jeff Kent got elected into baseball's Hall of Fame. And I want to talk a little bit about Jeff Kent with you. Of course, you followed him with the Giants, and he did so much for Cal while he was with the Giants. He raised money for women's scholarships. He put a baseball cage up for men's baseball at Cal. But some of the things he did off the field, he never really wanted to get acclaim for. What are your thoughts about him when Jeff Kent was at Cal?
Yeah, Jeff, he's a complicated dude. How's that? But first of all, I'll say this: I do have a vote for the Hall of Fame, and I got it, it's an honor. I take it very seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and I got it. I want to say either 5 or 6 years ago. I had the last 2 or 3 years of Jeff's eligibility on the writers' ballot, and to me, I just could not believe that he was not elected by my fellow writers. I mean, first and foremost, he hit more home runs than anyone, than any second baseman in the history of the game. That in and of itself ought to be almost automatic to get into Cooperstown.
Yeah.
But he had plenty of other really good actors. He's somewhere in the top 30 or 40 all time of doubles. He played 18 seasons. He played in the postseason and had some great moments in the postseason. I just could not understand how he wasn't in there on the writers' ballot, and thankfully he's now in there via one of the eras committee. But Jeff, he's a tough guy, I think, to get to know. I don't know him very well. I've known him a little bit, but he played the game really hard. There's no question about it, whether he was playing shortstop at Cal or playing second base for the Giants or wherever else. But I think once he got away from the game, he wanted to get away from the game. And I think that sometimes is not necessarily how other players view it. The other players are kind of, you said, married to the game. And, once the game's over, they're not detached. They're still talking about either that game or the next day. But look, Jeff's time at Cal went to the College World Series in one season. That team also had Darren Lewis. And again, Jeff's major league career it's certainly Cooperstown worthy. Again, to me, it's
no question.
It's more,
yeah, five-time All-Star, Steve, 5-time All-Star, National League MVP in the year 2000, 4-time Silver Slugger. He's also on the San Francisco Wall of Fame. The Giants are going to honor him, retire his number, and the excitement that he had when I was watching MLB Network just went over the top. I mean, he was emotional. He didn't even know it. He had a part of it, and then when he got called to the phone, it was just jubilation for him. And you talked a little bit about Jeff at Cal. I didn't know he played shortstop at Cal. I looked that up. He was a shortstop first before he moved over to second base.
Yeah, he played a little shortstop even in the bigs before he went to second base. And the stuff you heard about why he wasn't voted by fellow writers, one of the big things you heard was that he was not great defensively. And first of all, okay, he probably wasn't, say, Robbie Thompson at second base. He wasn't a great second baseman, but he was great at turning the double play. He had a great arm. He had a shortstop's arm. And I said, too, think of over the years, his 6 years with the Giants and his 17 or 18 years in the big leagues, how many times did his defense cost his team a game? Maybe 2 or 3 out of 17 years.
Sure.
Jeff,
good point.
Jeff did enough, offensively to mitigate whatever, minor deficiencies he had defensively. And again, I don't think he certainly wasn't a bad second baseman. He wasn't a top flight second baseman again, but he was a top flight when you had to turn the double play and he's taken a throw from the left side of the infield. He made that pivot as well as anybody did.
And he's also in the Cal Hall of Fame. He was nominated and put in 2009. Just a good guy for Cal, and he represented him so well. And so do you, Steve Kroner, and I appreciate your time today. It's great always catching up with you, my friend. We'll be doing this as the season progresses. You have a great day, a beautiful day here in Northern California. And, Steve, once again, thanks for your time.
Bill, always appreciate it. And back to your enthusiasm for a second. Let's play 2.
I'm all for that. All right, it's Bill Laskey on the KNBR warm-up show. A few more minutes as the doors have been open now for almost an hour out here at City Center Bishop Ranch, 6000 Bollinger Canyon Road, as the second stop for the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest. Next weekend, we are going to be right back here on KNBR. January 31st, we're going to go up to Sacramento, where the Sutter Health Park is going to do their third stop for the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest. Dusty Bakery, Robbie Ray, Elliot Ramos, and more. We'll take a quick break, come back with more as we close out the show. And come on out. It's a beautiful day here in San Ramon. My name's Bill Laskey. This is the KNBR warm-up show. More coming up in a bit.
KNBR, the sports leader.
Matos, the possible tying run at third. Fitzgerald, the possible winning run at second. And the pitch on the way. Swing, line drive into right field, base hit. Charged by Robles. One run is in. Here comes Fitzgerald, the throw. Swing! And the ball game is over. Willie Adames in his first opening day as a Giant gets his third hit of the game, and he is the hero.
Back to the Giants Fan Fest warm-up show with Bill Laskey on the Sports Leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR warm-up show with Bill Laskey. As we close the show here, I want to thank my producer, Raph, putting in all those clips of Dave Fleming and John Miller and some of the exciting things that happened in 2025. Looking forward to more of those in 2026 as the San Francisco Giants Fan Fest continues out here in San Ramon, California till 3 o'clock. Come on out, City Center, Bishop Ranch, 6,000 Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon. The weather's great. Greg Silver's out here. Derek Papa's out here. The Q&A is going to start here in a little bit. A lot of great players. Of course, the manager, 47-year-old Tony Vitello's out here. The ace, Logan Webb. Boy, he had a great year last year. Jung-Hoo Lee with his interpreter, Landon Roop. Hayden Birdsong's out here with a whole new attitude for the 2026 season. And Eric Miller, a big lefty coming out of that bullpen. Still time to come out here to San Ramon. We'll be traveling to Sacramento next weekend at Sutter Health Ballpark, and that starts at 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock next Saturday. Dusty Baker, Robbie Ray, Elliot Ramos will be out here in Sacramento, and we'll be traveling there to bring the warm-up show to you, Giants fans, as we continue to get this Giants baseball season going for the 2026 season. I want to thank my guests today, Javi Lopez, Jeff Young, and Steve Kroner. We'll have more next weekend. Kirk Caselli, Mark Abanias will be joining me for that show, and we'll continue to keep bringing you more and more information until that first pitch is thrown on February 10th when pitchers and catchers end up going to Scottsdale, Arizona. February 15th, the full squad gets down there, and then you got baseball in heaven. Boy, I can't wait to talk about baseball in Scottsdale when the whole team gets there on February 15th. And the first spring training game, February 21st. They'll be going to Peoria to play the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is 12:10, extra inning post-game show. I'll be doing that again this year. We'll follow that with a lot of the exciting points of that game. And then the following day, first game at Scottsdale Stadium against the Chicago Cubs, 12:05 at Scottsdale Stadium. It all locks in. Spring training's ahead of us. It's another season for this orange and black, and it all starts Wednesday, March 25th, the first game of the season, the New York Yankees against the San Francisco Giants. 5:05 first pitch. For Bill Laskey, Raph, I appreciate you listening in. We'll be back on next week for KNBR warm-up show. Come on out, San Ramon. Still doors are open. Until then, have a great weekend and enjoy Giants baseball because we're back for 2026. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
It is the Josh Graham Show.